I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there are a lot of things going on in the world right now. There's a link in the description to this little cards thing. You may have seen them all over Twitter. It's just an easy way to get information, petitions, donation links, etc. I found one that has a whole bunch on there, so I'm just going to link that in the description. I dyed my hair. Like many others, college is starting for me fairly soon. However, most of those classes are online, so I'm going into debt to do online school, like I've been doing for free for 4 years. Not important. What is important is that I'm moving soon to a dorm that might be smaller than where I'm living now. It definitely is smaller where I'm living now. So I've got to minimize all my stuff. So I decided that I was going to film it. I'm doing the KonMari method from Marie Kondo herself. This was after I had already listened to her first book a while ago, so I already understood the concepts of like what sparks joy, what does that mean, and I'd also watched her TV show, so I had a general understanding of like what I was supposed to be doing. Her second book, called Spark Joy, because her first book's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and her second book is called Spark Joy. That one's just more specific into like what you're actually supposed to do. So if you enjoyed her first book but you didn't really understand it, or you didn't really know how to begin, I think Spark Joy is an excellent thing. I decided to start my KonMari method, like she suggests, which is tidying my clothing. I also started off by sorting my top 5 clothing pieces. Like I said, I was already wearing my favorite t-shirt, so I didn't count that. I started off with like a couple of jackets that I liked, a pair of shorts that fit me really well that I really like, and then I think it was a shirt that was my mother's when she was my age that I kept as well, that I decided were. Marie Kondo recommends you do this in the book so that you have an easier time telling what joy feels like when you're considering your clothes, which was a problem I definitely had. Like I said, clothes aren't very sentimental to me. They're just clothing. Like, I'm, whatever. I steal a lot of my clothes from my dad and my brother, so like, I don't really care. I thought I would have less clothing than I actually did. I had way more clothing than I thought I would. I think it's because I've already been kind of file folding. I wasn't doing it properly, as I found out later when I tried to actually file fold like she says to, and I was doing it wrong. But I had given the illusion that I had less clothing than I actually did because of how I had folded them. Anyways, so I started with the Spark Joy method. I've done this once or twice with my clothes. I haven't ever properly done her thing because I'm lazy, but done it once or twice with my clothes because it's an easy first step. So it was easy to go through again. I managed to sort through it very quickly, and as you can see by the crawling that's coming with my stay pile, I kept a lot of things. But I'm pretty happy with what I kept and what I didn't. It's a pretty small amount of clothing, I'd say, overall, like for anybody who's normal and regular, but like I don't wear that much clothing, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I made sure when I started the process I was wearing clothes that I already knew I was going to keep, so I'm wearing my favorite t-shirt and just a pair of pajama shorts that I'm pretty fond of, so I was unlikely to have them not spark joy. I already knew they were fine. Also, I found some cool socks, so I put those on. As I was sorting through the clothes, I had 3 piles: keep, or spark joy, and then I had I'm not quite sure, and then I had no, I'm done with this clothing piece. So using that method, I managed to make a very large pile of keeps, a semi-large pile of no, get rid of, then a very tiny pile of I'm not sure yet, which turned into I need to alter this, or I need to, get rid of it, or actually does spark joy and needed to sort through the rest of my clothes to figure that out first. Then I sorted them. I sorted them into bottoms, tops, dresses, and then like tights and skirts and underwears and stuff, and I found out something very jarring about myself, which is that I had a lot of tops, most of them being jackets.
I'm really hooked on jackets. I'm like a jacket slut. It's weird.
I don't know what to say about that, other than I really like jackets, apparently. She has it sorted into some main topics, which is like the tank tops and weird shaped shirts and regular shaped shirts and long sleeves and stuff. And I found out rather quickly that band t-shirts are the easiest to fold by far, like just what you get at like a concert or something. They're the easiest to fold. If you have those, file fold them. So easy. The entire process took me I'd say 2.5, maybe 3 hours. The biggest portion of that was folding my stupid shirts. I had so many shirts left over. Like, the sorting took me 30 minutes max. And then it took me an hour to fold all of my tops and make sure I was doing it properly. I had to go back and double check how to sort certain things, and it took so long. Her illustrations are helpful, but I'm not very smart, so you know, how helpful can they be if you're just dumb? I couldn't understand the drawings. It took me way too long. I was like, I cannot comprehend what this is trying to tell me to do. I think that's why the shirts took me so long. It's a little bit easier to fold pants the way she describes the file folding. You're just folding pants, like it's not that hard, but like trying to configure sleeves to do it, it's weird. It's weird, and it took me a minute because I'm dumb. Managed to figure it out, and you definitely get the hang of it as you keep going. Like I said, with band t-shirts, so easy to fold. No, it was not as awful as I thought it was gonna be, but to be fair, I'm not super attached to my clothes, like, at all. Like, I have no emotional attachment to, like, half of my clothes. And the ones that I did, they were, like, sentimentals. Like, I'm sorting those later. There was one problem, though. She doesn't describe how to fold crop tops. A lot of her folding is dependent on the length of the t-shirt being longer than the sleeves, which is not the case with a lot of crop tops, especially if it's a long sleeve crop top, I guess. I just shoved the sleeves in there and I was like, this is fine, it stands up. And that means I did it right. And you can see me flipping back to the book. I kept referencing it just to make sure I wasn't doing anything wrong. You can also see my terrible posture throughout this thing. I was like, why does my back hurt so much? And then I watched the footage and I was like, oh, that's why my back hurts so much. I need to learn how to properly sit. Shaped like a C. Why do you think your back hurts, dummy? I ended up getting rid of one full trash bag full of clothing, and like I said, they're all nice and neat and file folded, and they look amazing. I was able to fit them all in my drawers. With belts and accessories, she doesn't really go in how to fold them. She's mostly like, you just kind of put them in there, make sure they spark joy. And I was like, this sparks joy. You're supposed to sort your shoes along with the KonMari method, so I already knew that all the shoes I had, they all sparked joy. I already knew that, because the second I looked at them and I was like, are there any shoes I don't like? No, there isn't. Anyway, so after I finished folding all of my tops, I was dead. And I took a break, and then I got started on folding my bottoms. Listen, it took so much longer to fold my tops that I couldn't put in all of the footage of it. Like, it was just too much. Even sped up like 20 times, it was just too much. But like, literally all of the footage of me folding my bottoms is in there. Like, I kept like 2 pairs of pants. I had like upwards of 10 just random t-shirts that I had that I was like, no, these spark joy. And then I was like, I have 2 pairs of pants, that's all I need. The lighting gets consistently worse as the video progresses because I started at like 3 p.m. I don't know. I started folding my clothes and stuff, and then the sun disappeared, and then I had to turn on my yellow lighting, and that's just what happened. I'm sorry. Her descriptions are very interesting, right? Because the KonMari method has a big focus on like almost like the personalities of the clothing, if that makes any sense. Like everything has a spirit in it, you know, to dumb it down or whatever. So in it, she describes that some clothes like to be hung up compared to folded. For instance, these are dresses and skirts that are like frilly and flare out. They like to be hung up so they can frill and flare out. So I did that. Hanging up was pretty easy, just hanging up clothes. Honestly, I don't know why folding my tops took so long, except for the fact that I'm stupid. No, it was a lot of fun, which is weird to say. So the moving situation with my parents is kind of interesting. I'm mentioning how I've done this a couple of times before, but that's mainly because we've moved a couple of times, me and my family have. We moved from one house into a transitional hotel for a minute, into an apartment, and then to a real house that was big enough for us because the apartment was way too small. But because of that, there was a moment where a lot of my items were either in a storage unit or like in our garage that came with the apartment that we had. Like, I didn't have access to a good portion of my items, so while I had sorted through some of my items, it wasn't like all of them like you're supposed to do with her method. Saying that, of course, it's a lot easier to do this method with things like books, papers, and clothes than it is with kimono, which is basically just everything that's not books, papers, clothes, and sentimentals. So I think that's where I often get hung up on doing this, but because I'm moving, I have an excuse to kind of get everything off of my multiple shelves. This was also a great example of literally all of the things I'm going to need to get. Now that I've thrown a bunch of things away, I need to buy more things for when I move, but more importantly, it showed what I'll need before I move, especially since I'm moving to a slightly colder climate. I'm going from very, very south of California to a more north middle of California, which is much colder. It was good for me to save all of my jackets and all my long sleeves. I did have a small pile of clothes that I decided to keep, but I needed to alter first, whether that's just turning them into a crop top or, you know, turning a dress into a skirt and a shirt. It's just something that I'll have to do later, but I decided to keep them because I felt like they could be not salvaged, but kind of made to spark more joy. I I think that works. I don't know. I never understood how to fold tights. Not like leggings, because folding leggings is easy. Folding tights I don't understand. I kind of just rolled them up. Anything that I didn't understand or like I just could not comprehend what you wanted me to do, I just tried my best. I was like, this is fine. Like before, I had been semi-file folding. I wasn't doing it properly, like I said. But like, I was folding them. So I think it counts. That was my general rule. If they were folded and they could stand up, I did okay. It counted. I did that for all the shirts. If I could get the shirt to stand up afterwards, then I succeeded. I see no evidence of failure here. I have only ever succeeded. That's what that means. So the dresser that I have isn't like a real dresser. It's a bunch of cardboard boxes that my mom managed to fashion into a dresser-like thing. It's a bunch of boxes pretending to be a dresser. I was able to very easily fit my clothes in there, origami them a little bit. They looked very well organized. I was pretty proud of myself afterwards, actually. So this concludes part 1 of, I don't know, cleaning all my stuff before I move out of my house. Or my parents' house, I should say. Next is books, which I have a closer attachment to, I'd say, just like generally, than clothes. Like, dare I say, it's gonna be harder. I'm not sure if I'll end up getting rid of too many books, maybe like 1 or 2, but I've already done the KonMari method with my books before. I think I stopped at, I think it was kimono when I've done this before, because, you know, I've just never had the opportunity to sort through everything that's mine and, like, put it somewhere. Like, the last time I was doing this, like, half of my items were in a storage unit. I ended up with a very small amount of clothing afterwards, like I said. It looked way more than it was. A lot of it was bulky kind of shirts and stuff, so I ended up with a lot less clothing than I think the average person has. I don't think I have a lot. I can fit it into like a duffel bag, I'd say. Like if I didn't include my jackets, I could fit all of it into like a duffel bag if I tried my best. Like a large duffel bag, not like a small one, like a decent sized piece of luggage, you know? Obviously, my closet is still very dirty because I didn't go through the rest of it. I only did my clothes. So I have all these boxes at the top that are like not done. I did not show a before because I'm a dummy, but I did film an after of my closet. It's dirty. The closet's very dirty. I'm sorry about that. So that was part 1 of me sorting through all of my clothing and KonMariing my whole living area before I move. Next is part 2, which is books, which I'm excited about. I like books. I have a lot of books, so my parents are also very excited for me to maybe get rid of some of them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!